Hello and welcome to Paranormal Lens, presented by Jott-Nyx Paranormal. I'm Kirstin Truccano, and joining me is Chad Thomas and Jamie Widener. Chad, you're back.
I'm back, yeah. I heard things went smoothly without me. I didn't need to come back. Alex could have just taken over.
Yeah, he's a good intern.
Well, it's always nice to know that if you do step away, things are going to be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he covered me the week before last, you last week. So
Is it my turn?
yeah, it might well be, right?
All right.
I'm glad it worked out, and maybe there'll be a spinoff. Who knows?
Oh,
Yeah, there could be.
some ghost stuff.
Yeah.
Some good ghost stuff.
So
Welcome back, Chad. I said this last week, and I meant it. This doesn't work unless there's a Thomas here. So glad you're
I mean, I'm glad you also didn't get swept away in the storms that were in Indiana.
we were locked down for a while because there were tornadoes going through Bloomington where we were. So
What was that, Sunday?
yeah, Sunday. Yeah, on the way out, our bus broke down halfway there. 5 hours into the trip, our bus broke down on the side of a highway. Kudos to Jai, our bus driver, who got out and on the edge of the median, that strip that's just barely enough for a bus to fit on.
Yep.
He had both sides of the bus open and he fixed the coolant leak somehow. And 90 minutes later, we were pulled into Bloomington, got into our dorms, and the tornado sirens started going off. So we were in lockdown until it was time for opening ceremonies, and then we ran to there to beat the rain. It was fun.
For living in Pennsylvania, I've never heard a tornado siren. The first night we got to Sullivan, Indiana, I heard one. I'm like, that is the most terrifying thing in the world, because where Alex's mom lives is on the middle of farmland. And just to hear that off like in the distance, I'm like, that is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I could have sent you a photo or a video to put in here of me standing outside trying to film a tornado.
Twister 3. All right.
No, we finally went down to the basement. I'm like, all right, maybe we should go downstairs. And like his mom has a finished basement. And I just remember looking out of the patio door and like watching the trees, like it looked like they were trying to get sucked upwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is eerie.
Yep.
I spent 3 weeks in Oklahoma City in a past career and at a hotel. And I would say, of the 12-ish nights I stayed there, I guess, I think 7 of them, there were tornado warnings at night.
Mm-hmm.
After like what we would consider bedtime, midnight after. And it's off-putting to have that go off. It's like, like a smoke alarm going off, but it's a loud klaxon alarm. And your instructions are to go to the basement shelter when it happens. Mm-hmm. And no one argued. Everybody's kind of in pajamas or robes or, whatever they want to sleep in, I guess. Trudging down the steps because you're not supposed to take the elevator. And then we wait for the all clear and everybody just kind of goes back to bed and there you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just routine. No one argued. I'm assuming everyone came, I think, to a head count. I don't know to do that, but yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was a time.
Yeah. So, but we survived, had a great week.
That's good.
Glad to be back. Saw 8 shows in 5 days, and most of them were pretty good. We'll leave it at that.
That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. And some new shows that have just come out and been released for high schools that they were allowed to do. We got to see Suffs, Come From Away, some pretty big name stuff that these high schools presented in a Broadway fashion. So that was cool. Dear Evan Hansen.
Nice.
So yeah, a lot of good stuff. So but anyway, I digress.
So I just want to put this up. My form of storm chasing is going on to TikTok and watching all the live streams of storm chasers, so I understand.
Yeah, Stefana said, my son Jerry, who was a meteorologist in training, wisely wants nothing to do with storm chasing, and I don't blame him either.
Agreed.
It takes a special breed to do that.
Unless I'm in oh god, what is it? There's a storm chaser team that has like the most indestructible vehicle that if you see it on the road, you know it's serious. It's like the Dominator or something. It's like the weirdest name that you would see for a vehicle, but it's like all like it like will spike into the ground so it can't get yanked out of the ground.
Cool.
There was a series. It was called Storm Chasers on the Weather Channel for a couple seasons many years ago now, and there was something like that then. And even still, like you're tempting fate, regardless.
Yeah, their HBO Max has In the Eye of the Storm, and they just released a spin-off that's about storm chasers, and it's again all their firsthand video, and I'm like, you know what? I'm cool just watching these.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to no. I've been in a tornado once. I don't need to be chasing one.
Here we go.
Bert's joined us. Hi, Bert.
Close enough. Close enough.
I drove a 60-ton tank. Is that good for storm chasing?
It might be.
I think so.
I would hope.
It's good for a lot of things.
Yeah. So, well, we do chase things that some people wouldn't want to chase.
No.
So,
Segue.
Yeah. You like that,
nice
Jamie?
segue.
Alex would not have said like that.
No.
No.
That's why he's an intern.
Alex the intern.
Oh, that's gonna stick.
We love him. But no. So while I was out in Indiana, I got to do my own type of chasing. And beforehand, I did my own history. And the place I went to is Ashmore Estates. I'm going to start before I go into it. A lot of the research I did, I had already gotten this all written up. There is some extra things that I learned about because I do a tour and a little bit of the history beforehand. So I learned a little bit of extra things, which now makes sense of some of the ghost sightings where they were like, oh, these unknown people. The people who worked at Ashmore, they were able to kind of put some names to them. Also, it was very neat to see the love that the people that work there have for that building. I mean, the woman giving the tour said Wednesday when the tornado hit it, they felt more safe in that building than they did in their own home because that's where they went, and it kept her family safe. So, I've been watching still the rebuilding and recovery that they're doing for the building because there was some damage to it. So it's kind of neat to see how many people are putting an effort into this location. So with that, we'll begin. We're exploring one of the most fascinating locations in the Midwest, Ashmore Estates in Ashmore, Illinois. Depending on who you ask, Ashmore Estates is either a historic reminder of how society once cared for its most vulnerable citizens, or one of its most haunted buildings in America. Over the 150 years this property served as a poor farm, an almshouse, a psychiatric facility, a shelter care home, and eventually one of the most famous paranormal destinations in Illinois. Its halls have witnessed poverty, mental illness, death, social change, abandonment, and countless reports of supernatural encounters. We're going to examine the complete history of Ashmore Estates and the people who lived there, the tragedies that unfolded in its walls, and the ghosts that continue to attract investigators from all around the world, which we're going to begin in the 19th century. To understand Ashmore Estates, we first need to understand the concept that has largely disappeared from modern society, the poor farm. Today's programs like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, disability assistance, and public housing provide support for many vulnerable people. But during the 1800s, these programs simply did not exist. If someone became too old for work, or if they were mentally ill, if they suffered a disability, Even if they were widowed and unable to support children, there were very few options available. Many counties across America created institutions called poor farms. Residents worked the farmland if they were physically able to. In exchange, they received food, shelter, and basic care. But life on the poor farm wasn't luxurious. Many cases, it was difficult, overcrowded, and harsh. Yet for many people, it was the only alternative to homelessness or starvation. Cole County, Illinois established its first poor farm in 1857 near the small community of Loxa. For 20 years, the facility served the county's poorest residents, but county officials soon realized they needed something larger and more central location. The destination would lead directly to the creation of Ashmore Estates. In 1870, Coles County purchased 260 acres of Ashmore Township. The land sat along Indianapolis and St. Louis Railroad. A new poor farm was constructed. The first building was relatively simple, and it measured just 38 by 58 feet. It was built of timber and brick, and it stood 2 stories tall. It included a small attached kitchen. The building was designed by a contractor, H.B. Truman. For many residents arriving at the poor farm, this building represented both refugee and desperation. The residents were referred to as inmates. Today, the word sounds shocking, but it is commonly used for poor farm residents during that era. Over the years, hundreds of people passed through the facility. Many never left. Records from Superintendent Joshua Ricketts indicated that between 1870 and 1879 alone, approximately 250 individuals stayed at the farm. Of those residents, 32 died. Because these deaths, the county maintained a cemetery near the property, which I'm going to kind of talk about later because there is a reason that we are not allowed near there anymore. Another cemetery was established, later still exists today, south of Route 16. Historians estimate between 60 and 100 people may be buried there. Most lived difficult lives, many died without family, many were forgotten by history, yet their presence remained an important part of the Ashmore history. And I want to just stop and say, with how sad and everything that sounds, a lot of the workers there said they have records of the people there were never upset being there. They called it home and they were happy to have a home. So keep that in mind. As depressing as this sounds, these people were just happy to have a place to live. So after decades passed, the condition of the poor farm worsened. By 1902, state inspectors visited the facility. One issue stood out immediately. The poor farm housed mentally ill residents alongside everyone else. There was no dedicated psychiatric care, no specialized wards, no meaningful treatment programs. Inspectors noted that the mentally ill were not restrained and no special accommodations existed. Initially, officials considered the situation acceptable, but only 9 years later, a second inspection revealed a darker reality. In 1911, report was devastating. Inspectors described vermin-infested walls, rough wooden furniture, poor ventilation, tiny windows, swarms of flies, and unsanitary food preparation. The report specifically mentioned flies covering food during meal preparation. Living conditions had become unacceptable. The old building was condemned. County officials realized that simply patching the structure would not solve the problem. A completely new facility was needed. Plans for a replacement facility began in 1915. Officials wanted something modern, something safer, something more humane. A fireproof structure became the goal. Construction contracts were awarded in 1916. The project covered just over $20,000, a significant investment of the time. On May 17th, 1916, the cornerstone was ceremonially laid. The resulting structure is the building visitors recognize today. Compared to the original poor farm, it was revolutionary. Residents now had better ventilation, indoor plumbing, improved sanitation, greater safety, a more comfortable living condition. For the first time, administrators could better separate dangerous patients from the vulnerable residents. A caretaker and family lived on the grounds full time to oversee the operations. For many people living there, the new building represented a major improvement of quality of life. Yet, even as the facility opened, the institution only served was becoming obsolete. The early 20th, the early 20th century brought enormous social change. Government programs slowly expanded, labor protections improved, healthcare became more organized, women gained increasing economic opportunities. Historically, many poor farm residents had been widowed mothers unable to support their children. As employment opportunities expanded, fewer women faced the impossible choice. Later, Social Security and other assistance programs further reduced the dependence on poor farms. Gradually, the population of the institution like Ashmore declined, and the world was changing. By the 1950s, the need for a county poor farm had nearly disappeared. After decades of operation, the Cole County Poor Farm entered its final chapter. In February of 1959, the county sold the building. Its future would take an entirely different direction. The property was purchased by the Ashmore Estates Incorporated. The new owner transformed the poor farm into a private psychiatric facility. This transition reflected another major challenge facing America, which was mental health. During the mid 20th century, state psychiatric hospitals often struggled with overcrowding. Facilities searched for alternative housing options, and Ashmore Estates attempted to fill that role. Initially, the hospital operated privately. However, financial problems emerged almost immediately. In 1964, after only 5 years, the institution closed under mounting debt. The closure didn't last long. In 1965, operations resumed. This time, Ashmore accepted overflow patients from state mental hospitals. By 1968, 49 residents lived there. Among them were individuals suffering from epilepsy and various mental health conditions. For 2 decades, the facility continued serving the vulnerable population. Then another shift in public policy changed everything. Through the 1970s and 1980s, mental health care underwent dramatic transformation. Large state institutions began closing. Community-based treatment became increasingly popular. During this period, Paul Swinford and Galen Martin purchased Ashmore Estates. They invested more than $200,000 into renovating a modern addition in renovations. A modern addition was constructed. The building was updated and brought closer to modern code requirements. At first, the future looked promising, but again, financial pressure mounted. Licensing issues delayed operations, revenue declined, losses exceeded $1.5 million, and by April 1986, all remaining residents were transferred elsewhere. After more than a century of caring for the poor, elderly, disabled, and mentally ill, Ashmore Estates finally closed. The building fell silent, though, or at least that's what some people thought. For years, the structure sat largely abandoned. Weather damaged it. Vandals entered. Windows were broken. The building slowly decayed. In 1998, Arthur, oh, I said this last name once before, so I'm sorry if I say it wrong again. Classier purchased the property. He opened to renovate it into a private residence. Unfortunately, constant vandalism prevented those plans from becoming reality. The abandoned building developed a mysterious reputation. Local stories circulated. People reported strange experiences. Lights where none should exist were seen. Unusual sounds. Figures in the window. The building's long history naturally inspired speculation. But then came a turning point. In 2006, Scott Kelly purchased Ashmore Estates. To help fund restoration efforts, he introduced guided flashlight tours. Visitors would eagerly arrive because they wanted the history, they wanted the adventure, and of course, they wanted the ghost. Unexpectedly, many visitors claim to have found all three of those at the same time. Stories multiplied. Reports came from ordinary tourists, paranormal investigators, and even skeptics. Soon, Ashmore Estates became known as one of Southern Illinois' most haunted locations. Its reputation spread across television shows, paranormal websites, podcasts, and investigation groups. The building transformed from an abandoned institution to a paranormal destination. Then, in 2013, disaster struck again. A powerful storm with winds estimated between 80 and 100 miles per hour severely damaged the structure. The roof was torn away, support structures were destroyed, yet the building survived. In 2014, new owners Robin and Norma Terry began extensive restoration efforts. And today, Ashmore continues operating as both a historical site and a paranormal attraction. And now we kind of arrived at some of the most famous residents that are still at Ashmore. And whether if you believe in ghosts or not, these legends are deeply woven into the property's identity. Joe Bloxam is perhaps the most famous spirit. According to local legends, Joe worked during the day and traveled along the railroad tracks. When we were there, I did to find out from the lady who was giving us a tour. He worked in the boiler room. So that was what he was doing, and he would walk the railroad tracks to go visit his sister that was in another county. Now, coming to what happened to Joe. One day, he was struck by a train. Despite the severe injuries, Joe supposedly managed to limp back to the poor farm before collapsing and dying. That is not true. He was found in a farm field that was nearby the railroad tracks. So again, that is where I'm saying I wrote this before, and then I went and I was actually able to get a bit more of that story. So he did not, from what they said, he did not limp. There were local farmers who had found him. So today's visitors frequently report seeing a tall male apparition. Some claim the figure appears so clearly that facial features can be distinguished, and many believe this is Joe. The next one is Elva. And again, that what I had found was Elva was a young girl. Elva was not a young girl. She actually lived at the original poor farm, and what happened was basically there was overcrowding. With overcrowding comes fire hazards. She was believed to have gotten oil or something that caught fire, and is what burned her. So it was a spark that had ignited and lit her dress on fire, and then she had died from those severe burns. Today, visitors frequently report feeling a hand grasp theirs. Others describe gentle tugs on their shirt, but these encounters are often attributed to Elva. So next I had was the boiler room spirit. This is what a lot of people are assuming is Joe, because he worked in the boiler room. A lot of stories have said that this spirit is aggressive entity and will shove people or push them. What I've gotten from the employees there, that if it is Joe, he's not mean, he's not aggressive. He just knows it was his job to get people, especially women, to not be in the boiler room. So a lot of it is attributed to Joe was probably trying to guide people out of there, which I will explain my experience then near the end of it with me in the boiler room. Next, there are two women upstairs. One of the upper floor rooms has become famous among investigators. The room is reportedly inhabited by two female spirits. Visitors often read stories aloud, and during these sessions, people report strange noises, voices, and sudden EMF spikes, and the feeling of being watched. Many believe the spirits were former patients. These were two daughters of a local family. I remember the one's name is Mary, and I feel awful that I don't remember the other one. I believe it's Elizabeth, but I do not fully remember. They were sisters, and that there is a room that is over by one of the admin desks, and that is their room. So that is the two that people have been reporting seeing. Throughout the building, reports include moving shadows, disembodied voices, unexplained footsteps, furniture movement, odd smells, electronic voice phenomena. For many believers, these stories represent evidence of lingering spirits. For skeptics, they may reflect the power of expectation inside a building steeped in tragedy and folklore. Either way, the story continues. Ashmore Estate stands as an intersection of history and legend. Before ghost hunters arrive, this building was home to real people. The poor, the elderly, the disabled, and the mentally ill. People often prefer not to see any of what I just said. Its stories reflect changing attitudes towards poverty, healthcare, mental illness, and social responsibility. Yet history alone isn't what keeps Ashmore alive. The ghost stories and the unexplained encounters and the countless personal experiences reported by visitors have transformed it into something larger than a historic building. Whether Ashmore Estates is genuinely haunted or simply carries the emotional weight of more than a century of human suffering, and resilience remains a question each visitor must answer for themselves. One thing is for certain. Few places in Illinois contain so many layers of history within a single set of walls. So, that is what I have on the history. I will say but this. I fully believe that this place is haunted. I love to look up in the two photos that are here. Well, they were here. Um, there was a lot that happened.
Kirstin, before you get to that, how about sources for the content?
Sources, Jamie. Thank you, and I almost forgot.
I got you, buddy.
Thank you. So my sources are ashmoreestates.net/history and hauntedus.com/Illinois/Ashmore Estates. So yeah, those are my sources.
And yourself.
And myself.
Yes. You cite yourself.
Now, Kirstin, are these the pictures you were talking about?
So it was not them, but honestly, we can start here because that one is showed.
Sorry.
Yeah, that upper left hand one, that was a photo that I remember seeing in the estate. The whole third floor, they had like a timeline and everything laid out by people who owned or were really interested in the land. So you can kind of see how big it was originally. Um, and I mean, now that all that's there is maybe like the trailer that the one, I believe it's the owners live there. It's, I shouldn't say it's a trailer, but it's a modular home, and the big main building. Um,
The that one being the foreground there on the left.
yes.
Okay.
Um, it was it was neat to kind of walk and kind of hear the history a little bit. I felt bad at times because I kept kind of wandering off because I felt pulls to different rooms. This was the one I was actually at that I was like, oh, hey. So the room on the right, the photo on the right is the room of the two girls, which when we were in a nearby room, one of the guests there walked out into the hall because they thought they heard something, and they claimed to have seen a shadow walk into that room. It was very funny because it was, again, it was exciting. There was something, a lot of people, because a lot of the people there were never investigated before. So when they heard that, they all went running, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit back in this room and kind of just see like what goes on. And like it was quiet. I think everyone running to the room kind of scared a bit of the spirits away. Um, Apparently, before I came up, because I kind of went off on my own for a little bit before I came up, someone's they had like an ovulus or something. She kept getting called hag, so I'm not sure who it was calling her a hag, but it was also, it was very funny to them. The photo on the left, that is a memorial that was made. So the worker was telling me, I just saw www.ghoststuff.com.
We're gonna get to that, but yeah,
I know. But when they were telling me that one of the original owners of the facility, his daughter or granddaughter said that she woke up one night and she was seeing a big hole being dug. And there was always speculation of bodies being dug there. Um, so one of the more bigger named shows with Jack Osborne came out, and he was asking, what is something that's never been done here? And when they brought up about that story, he actually brought in 3 different cadaver dogs at 3 different times to kind of see what would happen. And all 3 of them hit the same spot. And the owner of Ashmore could vouch for it wasn't set up, nothing was faked about it. Like, all 3 dogs hit that spot to confirm that something was there. They decided to never dig up the bodies. They decided to create a memorial for the bodies there because there was a psychic that came in that went, they just want to be acknowledged. They don't want to be moved. So that was their kind of way of doing a nice little memorial for the bodies that are buried there. They don't know how many are buried there, but they do know bodies are there. It was fun, especially to start after all the tour. I did go down. I did my own little solo. I'm proud of myself because I don't like to solo. I went into the boiler room. I felt like it would be interesting to go down and kind of see what would happen. I think in the whole span of the boiler room and the men's dining area, rec area, I think I was down there for an hour. I started in the boiler room. Nothing was going off, but I knew that there was someone in there with me. And when I say it's dark, it was pitch black. Like, it was terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. I got eventually a very overwhelming feeling of get out, like go, leave. So as I was walking up, I had my flashlight set in the men's dining room and it went off. And I kind of just decided to sit a little bit in the men's dining room a bit, which were you able to get that one up, Chad? The one I sent?
You bet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we want to watch about it's about 4 minutes of me struggling to communicate with a spirit who just really liked the flashlight. And it's very funny, and it shows you how dark it is, and then all of a sudden when the flashlight comes on, it it's funny to me.
All right, give me 1 second here.
Are you still here? Yeah, okay. I'm just not asking the right question. Could you turn the light off, please? No, you want the light on? I can ask you questions if you keep the light on. Thank you. Did you work here as an employee? Like a nurse or a doctor? Were you who I saw in here earlier? Did you work down in the boiler room? No. Oh? Was that a maybe? I think that was a maybe. How about out in the fields?
So, yeah, it was dark. Like it got very very dark. Also, with the way the building is, sound travels well. There were people up on the second floor, and I know at one point they were like laughing about something, and I'm pretty sure that's when the one woman got called a hag. So yeah, after, I'm sorry.
That reminds me of where we say we sit in the dark and talk to ourselves a lot.
Exactly.
It made me kind of remind, like a lot of times I've been in that kind of place, and I'm first of all, I'm questioning my life choices to be there, but the moment when that activity occurs, the flashlight hits or a device activates, it is the greatest thing ever, and it makes it all worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a twist in that. But oh my gosh, yeah.
Um, I was excited about that because we've been on investigations and my flashlight was never the one that gets turned on. So to see that flashlight being turned on, I'm like, oh my God, it does work. um, yeah, it was after that when I kind of kept getting everything from upstairs. And I think other people who kind of were doing their own thing realized if we all go into a group, we're all going to not step over each other because there was 12 of us there. Um, so we all kind of went up there. It was the second floor. In the room, I believe, is the room that they actually did electrotherapy. Because what they said was a lot of times anyone who went there when it was a psychiatric ward, it was for epilepsy. And they were using that as a way to kind of help with it. We spent a lot of time up there because everyone just wanted to see a cat ball go off. And they didn't get it up on the second floor. However, they got it when we went down to the boiler room. Cool. The boiler room, I think we had the most interesting interactions. My flashlight kept going off. One whole area was cold, like freezing cold, but we couldn't figure out if it was because when you looked up, there were 2 holes that were like boarded over. So we're not sure if it was like a draft coming in or if what. We finally got cat balls. One of the young men that was there, he was like, we should go put a cat ball by the steps that lead from the men's dining room down into the boiler room. And within, I think, like 30 seconds of that cat ball getting put down and the light turning off, we kept getting hits off of it. And every time there was a hit, my flashlight would go off. I believe one of the other people, it was either the sister or the brother who had brought their own equipment. They kept getting hits on their equipment. As with that, there were 2 people who were not down there with us. So in the video, when you hear me talking about a chair moving, it was a chair moving. It was the 2 other people, but it scared us all for a good 10 seconds before we realized. However, in part of that clip, there is a noise that none of the equipment made. Like, when I was physically there, I didn't hear any of the equipment make it. No one made a noise, but it's a sound that I still can't figure out what it is. So if we want to go to the next video.
Sure. Before we do that, I just want to say I feel like there was something between you and the table. And like I just sensed there was a presence there. So I'm not sure. It just, I don't know. It's sort of like something wanted to manifest but didn't.
It felt like a male spirit was there because when we originally went down during the tour, I had seen a shadow kind of dart in the back of the room to kind of like hide.
Mm-hmm.
And I know during that like 8-minute video, I asked a few different names because up on the 3rd floor, when I was by myself for a bit, I got a little boy named Colton, but this didn't feel like a little boy. It almost seemed like more of like a young adult. And I got the name Matthew. So I'm almost wondering if it was a gentleman named Matthew there.
Interesting.
What they were saying during the tour was a lot of times during the poor farm, there wouldn't have been a lot of men there because a lot of times they kind of got sold off to pay off their debts. So I'm not entirely sure what area this spirit was from, but there was definitely someone over in that area.
Cool. All right. Well, I have the.
Oh, real quick. There was a mother or a guardian that came with a young man. She curses once, so I apologize. She was very scared.
So, okay, well, I will go ahead and roll that then, and here we go.
The balls went off again?
Yep.
Yeah. Good idea, Sam. You sure could have cleaned that, Neil.
If you put it somewhere where they have to
You know
walk.
where the whole thing's at? We're supposed to be? That's where it's at.
Since these aren't doing anything, you might as well grab another one and put it somewhere else too.
Yeah, they're on the floor, grab it right now.
Yeah.
There's one on the table here.
That one doesn't work.
Here, you can have this one.
Put it in the doorway or something.
Yeah, there it goes again.
Oh, yeah, don't put it that close on the fucking screen.
I would like to see that close.
I'll put it right here.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Plug it in.
Do you want to switch? Get you away from the door more?
I just want to scoot over a little bit.
It's warmer over here too.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think it's charging.
I was like, it's freezing cold right here.
I wanna.
I love the smell down here.
It's very musty there.
It's just kind of.
You're doing the one by the steps. Can you hit the cat ball that's a bit closer?
Can you walk towards me, please?
Whoa, what was that?
I don't think it's charging.
That sounds like a chair moving.
That sounded just like a chair moving. Was that a chair?
Yeah, it's not.
Hey, sit off that cat wall.
You have the right one in? Yeah. I don't know.
You got another cord?
Goosebumps.
So yeah, it was very interesting. Again, that was like the most exciting thing because everyone was like, finally a cat ball went off. We never got the one that we placed down closer. So I feel like they were trying to not. There were too many people in the room, and I think that's why they didn't want to come in. However, it was interesting to me when I realized that, wow, the room got brighter. It seemed like every time the cat ball went off, my flashlight was actually up on a shelf behind me, and that was what was causing the room to light up.
So you were getting both at the same time?
Mm-hmm. So it was
In opposite directions
yes.
of the space. Okay.
That's what I feel like. Maybe we had Joe, but I feel like we had someone else there. But yes, we all got scared at a chair moving, and that's why I said like it echoes. The chair like it got moved all the way. Like they had like a team room for like people to go and like sit and everything, which is fun because they have so many signatures in there, and there now may be a Paranormal Lens signature at Ashmore Estates. If you go there and find it, take a photo.
Sounds like a road trip to me.
A road trip.
Sorry, guys. Heather called that a while ago.
Yes.
Well, I could tell you that we are also on a wall of another place right outside of Philadelphia, New Jersey.
Yes, we are.
A couple things, just real quick. One, I want to step back to your solo in the basement, and following up on something that I said out loud last week. That experience is exactly why I appreciate you as an investigator, because you stayed calm, your tone was even, and it proves that unlike some other famous investigators, you don't have to yell everywhere you go. Ghosts can hear you, right? But that is exactly the way you interact with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the reality is we're people talking to people. We just can't see. So, we're not trying to do the dog and pony show. We're not trying to get tricks done. We're hopefully asking for interaction just for proof of existence. But, it's not a thing where you're just overly oppressive about it. I think you handled that so very well. And, it's off-putting to be in the complete darkness like that,
Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah.
but Jamie, I'm going to throw that back at you because I don't know about Kirstin, but I learned that from you, and investigation after investigation after investigation, where we go with you and you're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
They're
Dude, I
not.
just talk
No,
It's
but
all the time.
it's a conversation. I'm I want to give you the kudos for that. Like I've learned that from you, and
yeah.
that's how I model my investigating when I'm by myself. So
I mean, when I first started with the team, I was very inexperienced, and you were one of the people I enjoy get when we get split up into groups because it kind of gave me a nice guide on how to investigate.
hmm
Um,
Quit it. I treat, it's how it's the golden rule, right? You treat people the way you want to be treated.
right.
right.
And I don't think that has any difference whether they're physically there with you or they're not. They are, but they're not.
Yeah.
Physically present.
As our friend Ron Iacovetti says, whether they have a meat suit or not.
um, well, and it was a thing I also took into account. The woman giving the tour, and I'm so mad I forgot her name, and I feel so bad for it. But she said a lot of the spirits here, they're not evil, they're not malicious. They are, a lot of them had mental disabilities. So it was like, and everything felt light. Like nothing felt mean. The only time I was uncomfortable because it was someone wanted me out of the room. And I respected that. Like I'm not going to upset any of them because that when they explained about Joe and why he does what he does, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And respecting them, I feel like kind of kept things going. Um, but when you were talking about the screaming and everything, going in and screaming and being loud and everything, um, I won't say a name because I also do not want to get sued because the woman giving the tour kind of may have mentioned she may have gotten put on a film just talking a bigger named investigator and he sued her. But is why I liked talking or like listening to her too, because she's run into some bigger named investigators that basically wanted to get the scare or shock or like, oh, everything's evil and everything's demonic, which is why people are no longer allowed at the cemetery there. Uh, there is a cemetery that is unfortunately no longer owned by the Ashmore land. But the gentleman that owns the land the cemetery's on, had before been very welcoming for people to come see the graves. However, there was a show that kind of put some bad history on these names, which is not true, and people were going and then uh, trashing the graves. So now it is the owner of that land has a gun and he is not afraid to use it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But
Again, that and things like that are why it's always important to ask permission
yes.
before you go to a place because they are well within their rights.
Yes, absolutely.
And perhaps it's just as important as to tell people where you're going too.
Yes.
But it's a shame that that's what has happened because, we're losing out on parts of history of that estate because now people have ruined it for the next
People ruined it.
generation coming and
At least the estate was able to get photos of the graves. So they have a like a mural up of all the graves. So it has all the names and everything, which they said is very unusual for a poor farm because a lot of times with these poor farms, it's a number. You're not a person, you're a number. So to have an estate that was like, no, we're putting the names down is unheard of. Interesting thing is Elva used to be in the cemetery and her family was able to get money to move her, and she is actually, you can go and visit her grave. There was a photo of Joe's grave, which I wish we could go to that grave, like that cemetery to see, because that was the one that I'm like, man, I'd go and sit by that grave just to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. We're not too many generations removed from poor houses and poor
no.
homes and things like that. I remember my grandmother talking about her relatives who lived at the poor farm. She never lived there. Lived through the Great Depression, but this was before that, I believe. And she had talked about members of the family who lived at the poor farm. So, we're only a couple generations removed.
I mean, it was like like 1950s is when this finally closed. Like that's it seems like, oh my god, that's so far away, but at the same time it really isn't.
Right. Well, it closed as the poor farm, right?
Yes.
Because then you said it moved into the
Turned
site.
into, yeah.
Yeah.
I would go back there 100%. Do a road trip, go to Ashmore, and then the Indiana State Sanatorium, which is like an hour away.
There's 4 or 5 good stops along the way,
Yeah, there is.
and maybe more if you do a zigzag.
And and it was so funny because, like, again, they're doing the tour. They're like, by the way, Charleston closes early, so if you want pizza, you got to kind of order that early or go get your gas. Ashmore also closes early. Like, I didn't realize how small Ashmore was. Like, honestly, it to me it seems like an abandoned town, but at the same time, when I was getting there at like 7 o'clock, I'm sure everyone was at home.
Right.
But yeah, road trip.
Okay.
Well,
Guess up the bus.
I have a bus driver that I know that I would take 100% because he can repair things on the fly.
Get the Parabus.
So,
Any thoughts or anything?
no, I think you presented a lot of interesting things. 100% would say, yeah, there's definitely stuff there. Spirits that still reside there.
Absolutely.
Being unsensitive, I get a feel there's something here too. And history, we always say stuff like this, but like given its history, that doesn't necessarily mean that. But one thing you said early on was that residents seem to be happy to be there, and that's passion. There's passion, there's energy, right? There we go again. And there's energy, that activity goes with it. So I would, if pressed to answer, even not being there, I would say it seems paranormal to me. There's activity.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice job, Kirstin. Even though you forgot the resources, but
I didn't at the end. Thank you, Jamie.
could you show a cat ball?
Oh, I was like, I don't have a cat ball, but I'm sure one of you guys do.
Next week, we'll have
We will
one.
absolutely get a cat ball up next week.
Yeah, all my gear is packed.
Oh wait, no, the following week.
No, we won't.
Oh
Next
gosh,
week we won't.
yes.
So,
Sorry.
well, you know what? It's a good segue for what's coming up. Anyway, did you want to wrap up anything else, Kirstin, before we?
No.
So, all right. Well, next week we will be taking off, taking a break to change over the seasons. We are going to be moving into season 4. Can you believe that, guys? Season 4 already?
Already.
July.
I don't even remember seasons 1 and 2. Yeah, did we do them?
Maybe we just skipped those numbers. No, if you look at the list, we have plenty of shows back there.
They're there.
Right.
I have T-shirts to prove it.
Yep.
Literally.
But July 14th will be our next show. We will be off next week. And I will be doing Landell's Mohican Castle, which is a hotel that you can go stay in. It's used for weddings and all sorts of things, but you can tell from the picture, it is a huge building and some pretty interesting stories. So I'm looking forward to presenting that. Then on July 21st, Jamie, I believe this is you, is the alien abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. And then Kirstin, the Gonjiam Hospital, Psychiatric Hospital. All right. And then August 4th, I will be doing Where the Mirrors Remember, which is the haunting of the Myrtles Plantation. There's some interesting stories that go along with that. Then Coiba, Illinois. I got the Coiba, but not island. Coiba Island Penal Colony.
It's always the easy word to get us, right?
Yeah, Jamie will be doing that. August 18th is The Devil Made Me Do It, the Arnie Johnson trial. And then August 25th, I'm going to be hopefully presenting some information on a past life regression session that I'm having. So we will see what happens there, see how that goes, see if anything comes out of it to present or if it'll be a total flop. But I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty interesting thing. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm hoping to have the person who does the regression with me come on and talk about the process.
Ooh.
So a friend of mine from high school, and looking forward to, if not that week, then definitely another week, she would love to come on and talk to us about it. So we've got a lot of good things coming up in season 2 or season 4. The next season.
Season 2? It's season 2 with me here.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Cool.
as always, thank you for joining us tonight. You found us on YouTube or Facebook. If you want more information about us, you can reach out and check out our team website at www.Jott-Nyx, which is NYX, paranormal.com. You can email us at info@paranormal-lens.com, or you can check out our link tree, which is linktr.ee/paranormal lens. And if you want to support the show, you can always hit us up at buymeacoffee.com/paranormal9. Any of those ways you can get to us. And the link tree will take you to all those links and more. So check it out. Really appreciate your support. This is the end of the 3rd season. It's been a great time so far, but we're not stopping. We're going to keep going. And we're doing this because you guys are out there supporting us every week, every Tuesday night. We're glad to see you join us and have a good time with us. So, yeah. You guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just to catch up on a comment here from Bert. I thought it was Barney and Betty Rubble.
Close enough.
That's because Bert's living in the Stone Age.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody, it's not. And a nice comment here from Paula, and same to you. Have a safe weekend, everyone, and enjoy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It is, for those of us here in the U.S., it is America's birthday on Saturday. We are looking pretty decent for 250 years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little gray around the edges, but, here we go. Oh, and Bert, hey, just noticed Jamie trimmed his beard. Yeah. It fell off in Vermont, I swear. It's out in the woods somewhere. The Bennington Monster might have gotten it.
Oh, no.
We're on that in a few weeks.
Cool. So, all right.
And, Stefan says good night, all, and good night to you, sir. We'll see you in 2 weeks with a cat ball.
All right. So the Ashmore Estate reminds us that every historic building carries more than bricks and mortar. It carries memories, experiences, and questions that still challenge us today. Perhaps that's why places like Ashmore continue to draw investigators and curious minds from around the world. So thank you for watching. Enjoy the break, and we'll be back Tuesday, July 14th at 9 p.m. to kick off season 4. Stay alert, stay respectful, and stay curious. Good night, everybody.